Ladies and gentlemen, welcome all of you to Duc Thang University for the opening ceremony of the International TESOL Conference ITC 2022. Before the commencement of the conference, we would like to present to all of you some interesting music performances. The first performance is the traditional dance of different minority groups. The second performance is the song My Vietnam. Those are a feast for your eyes.
And the last performance, Hello Vietnam, is our warmest welcome all of you to our international conference to Duc Thang University for this special event. And now, without further ado, let's enjoy 3 music performances from Duc Thang University Singer Club.
Have you ever asked where is Vietnam? There is song and tales about my country. Yes, we've been through wars and separation, but now we standing strong and proud. Let me show you my lovely country, young and ambitious like me, like you. Huế and Đà Nẵng, Hà Nội, Saigon. There's so many places I wanna take you there. My Vietnam, where have my family? All the love I got, I wanna let you know. I will show you freedom, I will show you love, I will show you beauty, show you all we got. My Vietnam, where have my family? All the love I got, I wanna let you know. You will feel the rhythm, you will feel the love, you will feel the beauty, you feel how is Vietnam. Let me show you my lovely country, young and ambitious like me, like you. Huế and Đà Nẵng, Hà Nội, Saigon. There's so many places I wanna take you there. My Vietnam, where have my family? All the love I got, I wanna let you know. I will show you freedom, I will show you love, I will show you beauty, show you what we got. My Vietnam, where have my family? All the love I got, I wanna let you feel. You will feel the rhythm, you will feel the love, you will feel the beauty, you feel how is Vietnam. My Vietnam, where have my family? All the love I got, I wanna let you know. You will show the rhythm, I will show you love, I will show the beauty, show you what we got. My Vietnam, where have my family? All the love I got, I wanna let you feel. You will feel the rhythm, you will feel the love, you will feel the beauty, you feel how is Vietnam. How is Vietnam? I love Vietnam. Thank you. Tell me all about his name. It's difficult to say. It was given me the day I was born. Want to know about the story of the empire of war. My eyes say more of me than what you dare to say. All I know of you is the size of words of him by color, the helicopters roll. One day I touch your soul. One day I finally know your soul. One day I come to you to say hello, Vietnam. Bạn hãy nói tới mái tóc đen, tới đôi chân nhỏ bé và màu da đang ngày đêm cùng tôi lớn lên. Và đằng sau đôi chân sẽ bứt lên từ những nơi tôi chưa từng đến, để được nghe bài dân ca êm dịu lướt trên sông. Và tôi mới biết về đất nước tôi qua phim, người dân quê hương tôi cây cấy vui trong lời hát, ước mong về thăm chốn thiêng, mong sao quê hương giang tay đón tôi, mong ước đến ngày trở về lòng tôi yêu mến Việt Nam. Tôi sẽ theo cha về thăm làng quê tổ tiên, theo những giấc mơ bay trên mênh mông đồng lúa. Tôi thấy bao thân thương nơi đây quê tôi, như cây có gốc tôi yêu đất nước tôi. One day I touch your soul, one day I finally know your soul. One day I come to you to say hello Việt Nam. Ước mong về thăm chốn thiêng, mong sao quê hương giang tay đón tôi, mong ước đến ngày trở về lòng tôi yêu mến Việt Nam. To say hello Việt Nam, to say xin chào Việt Nam.
Thank you very much for your amazing performance, TDTU Singer Clubs. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a very great honor to welcome all of you to our International TESOL Conference, ITC 2022, theme Envisioning Possibility, joining organized by Duc Thang University and the English Scholar Beyond Borders, ESBB. The conference is a great opportunity for both international and Vietnamese professionals to exchange their expertise and experience, research work, practical ideas related to language teaching and learning. We are very honored to introduce representatives from the ESBB, our co-organizer of the conference, Professor Dr. Brochanan, from American University of Sharjah, UAE. He is the co-founder of ESBB and the co-chair of the conference. Unfortunately, we can't have him here today because of his family's emergency. We're really sorry for that.
Associate Professor Dr. V.J. Thakur, Duc University, Oman, co-founder of ESBB, keynote speaker.
Dr. Siva Kumar Sivasubramaniam from University of Western Cape, South Africa, the co-founder of ESBB.
Dr. Tara Muller, Toyama University, Japan, co-founder of ESBB. And may I take this opportunity to introduce some of our delegates who have greatly contributed to the conference. we would like to introduce the representatives of Duc Thang University. Dr. Võ Hoàng Duy, Vice President of Duc Thang University.
Dr. Đinh Hoàng Bách, Director in Rarities, Duc Thang University.
Dr. Nguyễn Hữu Khánh Nhân, Head of Department for Management of Science Technology Development, Duc Thang University.
Ms. Nguyễn Thanh Phương, Dean of the Faculty of Foreign Languages, Duc Thang University, Organizing Committee Member.
Dr. John Baker, Lecturer and Researcher, Faculty of Foreign Languages, Duc Thang University, the Chair of ITC 2022.
And now we also would like to introduce our eminent speakers and distinguished guests from Ho Chi Minh City TESOL,
KO TESOL,
Horizon TESOL,
TESOL Research Collaboration Network,
and TESOL. Allow me to extend our warmest greetings from our sponsor from the U.S. Embassy,
British Council,
Reset English Center,
Cultural Development and Import-Export Joint Stock Company, CDMX,
Oxford University Press,
Macmillan Education,
National Geographic Learning,
United Kingdom English Center,
Zen Books,
and Cambridge University Press.
And finally, we are pleased to welcome expert researchers, lecturers from different countries and territories, including India, Japan, Oman, South Africa, South Korea, Taiwan, Thailand, Turkey, the United Arab Emirates, the United Kingdom, the United States of America, Vietnam, and several others.
Experts, researchers, lecturers, and students of Duc Thang University. Members of mass media from Ho Chi Minh City Television Station, T.H.E Newspaper, Thanh Niên Newspaper, and Saigon Giải Phóng Newspaper, who help us to transmit the information about the conference to the public.
We highly appreciate your participation in this event. Once again, we would like to thank you, all of you, for your kind support and contribution to this conference this time.
To start our conference, we would like to invite Dr. Võ Hoàng Duy, Vice President of Duc Thang University, to deliver the welcoming speech. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big applause to welcome on stage Dr. Võ Hoàng Duy.
Dear researcher, scientists, lecturer, and student, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Duc Thang University, I would like to welcome you on to the High-Risk International TESOL Conference 2022, theme Envisioning Possibility. After having suffered the worldwide emergency health crisis, COVID-19 pandemic, for 2 consecutive years, Duc Thang University and English Scholar Beyond Border reached a consensus to organize this international TESOL conference to bring together TESOL professionals from around the world to share and discuss research findings, experience, and practical and theoretical issues related to English language teaching and learning, materials, networking, and professional development. With the underlying theme Envision Possibility, the conference is also aimed to support and inspire the envisionment of present and future possibility to foster professional skill and develop collaboration activity among the participants and delegates. Dear distinguished guests, Duc Thang University is a young but fast-growing research-oriented university. This year marks Duc Thang University's 20 years of establishment and development to become one of top research universities in Vietnam. With respect to the Faculty of Foreign Language, since its founding from 1998, the faculty has been growing as one of the strong units of our university. The faculty was successfully accredited by the AUNQA in 2020, which makes the faculty a prestigious destination in the field of English language study. The success of the international conference represents a significant landmark to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Faculty of Foreign Language. As we are living in an increasingly internationalized, multicultural, and integrated world society, English language education and English language research have been prioritized by Vietnam University. There has been a growing demand for the innovation and updates in the practice and theory of English language teaching and learning. To address the paramount needs, we consider the organization of this international TESOL conference as an opportunity for the development and cooperation in this academic area. Finally, I would like to express my sincere thanks to organizing committee, sponsor, keynote speaker, other participants, and supporting staff for their direct contribution to making this conference successful. Within the International TESOL Conference, a great success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Võ Hoàng Duy, very much for your speech.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, up next, we would like to invite Dr. John Baker, the conference chair, to deliver the opening speech. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Dr. John Baker to the stage.
Good morning. It's nice to see everyone. Lots of lovely smiling faces, the beauty of Vietnam. I'm pleased to welcome you to the International TESOL Conference today, themed Envisioning Possibilities. This event is hosted by Duc Thang University, a leading research university, specifically the Faculty of Foreign Languages, the TFL. The event is held in collaboration with English Scholars Beyond Borders, a nonprofit academic circle of international scholars, of which I'm proud to be a member. The collaboration today brings me great joy. As a member of English Scholars Beyond Borders, as well as a member of the Faculty of Foreign Language, I see these two families coming together in a marriage that has provided and promises to provide opportunities and joy. The confluence of international and local organization in the hybrid mode format has brought together TESOL professionals from around the world. In total, we are fortunate to have 140 speakers and presenters and poster presenters in a hybrid format, about half and half. Now, these professionals represent 22 countries, which my colleague has read earlier. I will not go into them. And we're very grateful that all of them could come. Together, we are going to explore an inclusive and insightful range of inter- and multidisciplinary themes related to pedagogy, materials, research, networking, and professional development. We do this to support and inspire the environment of present and future possibilities. I'm confident that what has begun today will open up tremendous opportunities tomorrow. We see before us a two-day event, but an event of this magnitude results from a great deal of planning, in this case 13 months. As the conference chair, you see me standing before you, but I have to say this was indeed a team effort. I want to begin by thanking President Pran Dang Do for the opportunity to host the event at TDTU. Thank you. I would also like to thank, many thanks go to Dean Fung of the Foreign Language Faculty. Without her and her tireless support and her faith in the department and frankly her trust in me, this could not have happened. And I'm eternally grateful. Thank you, Ms. Fung. Many thanks also go out to each member of our faculty. They make up many teams that have supported this event. They seem nameless in mass, but they are individuals with families, husbands, wives, and children, and we recognize their sacrifice. As I have watched them working into the late hours of the night and the wee hours of the morning alongside me, I'm grateful for their sacrifices. This event has certainly been a testing ground for their professionalism and dedication, and I'm pleased to say they did quite well. I specifically would like to name Kang Yan-vu. Why? He is a young professional who has shown an amazing prowess in administrative matters, maturity, and frankly is my partner in all things. I'm eternally grateful for his work on this conference. His name is not as mentioned as co-chair, but I think it probably should be. Thank you. I would also like to thank all the ESP members who provided limitless guidance and support. They trained our team here at TDTU. Roger Nunn, who could not be with us, the father of our organization, our leader, who we all love. I would also like to thank Theron Mueller. Naima Han, who's with us online today. And I'd also like to thank John Adamson, who's not here with us today, for training our team. I spent months training our team to do this job. Lastly, and I'd also like to thank Vijay, Dr. Vijay. Thank you so much. And Chris Weigel, thank you so much. And of course, Jane and John, for always being there for us. Thank you so much. And a special thanks goes out to Dr. Siva. His networking around the world provided a great many of the speakers and the opportunities that we have here at this conference. He is a scholar and a gentleman, and I am extremely grateful. Thank you. I would also like to thank Ho Chi Minh TESOL and Horizon TESOL and all of our sponsors. All of our sponsors were there for us from the beginning. I'd like to thank Horizon TESOL and Ho Chi Minh TESOL for the enormous amount of support they provided me the last 13 months, advertising, promotional opportunities, as well as technical advice. You've been there for us, thank you. Thanks are also due to our many other sponsors for generous support. U.S. Consulate Regional General's Office, thank you so much. I'm especially grateful to the British Council, Christina and Hui, for all of the advertising they've done for us and all the work they've done. Thank you so much. Promoting this event both locally and worldwide. I'd like to also thank the two journals that are supporting this conference, one is Scopus and one is SCI, of course, English Scholars Beyond Borders, and Rupatha Journal of Humanities. And importantly, I'd like to thank each and every one of the staff and students that spent their tireless amount of time working on this conference. And lastly, I'd like to thank each one of you for coming today and helping to support this event. Together, as we envision possibilities, I hope you'll welcome me in inviting my next speaker, Dr. Theron Mueller, who will introduce ESPB, our purpose, our history, and the beauty we bring to the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your speech, Dr. John Baker.
Now we would like to invite Dr. Theron Mueller, representative of ESBB, to make his remarks at the opening ceremony today. So please give a warmest welcome to Dr. Theron Mueller. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much everyone for coming. I'd also like to thank Duc Thang University and its Faculty of Foreign Languages for hosting us here today. And Dr. John Baker gave a number of thank yous, but it's difficult to thank yourself, so I'd like to explicitly thank Dr. John Baker for all the work that he put into the conference today. He's done an excellent job. Thank you very much. So as many of you are probably disappointedly realizing, I am not Dr. Roger Nunn. He unfortunately had a family emergency and so wasn't able to come today. I hope that one of the things that the COVID emergency has taught us all is to be understanding when last-minute life events happen and also to be accommodating of people needing to change plans at the last minute. So I've been asked to introduce ESBB, and Siva's coming up next. He's supposed to start at 9:15, which means that I've got 1 minute to introduce ESBB. I'm going to start eating into his time, and I'm sure he doesn't want to lose any of the time that he has to speak today, so I'll try to keep this quick. ESBB, or English Scholars Beyond Borders, is a not-for-profit circle of international scholars with currently 25 members, 11 of whom are involved in its management. That includes organizing the organization itself, the circle itself, and also our Scopus indexed journal, English Scholarship Beyond Borders. The organization has two main branches of activity. The first of those is the international conferences, which you're at here today. And the first international conference started in 2014 in Izmir, Turkey. And we were supposed to return there in 2020, but for obvious reasons, we weren't able to go back there. However, in addition to Turkey, we've had our conference in Thailand, Taiwan, in the UK, in Japan, India. Last year, hosted online from Oman, thanks to Dr. Vijay Thakur. And this year, we're here in Vietnam. So I think in explaining who we are as ESBB, I think the list of countries that we visited to hold our international conference helps to explain a lot of that. We're not an organization that rotates between the same 2 or 3 countries or the same 2 or 3 cities every year for our conference. We're truly an international organization, and the fact that we've had our conferences in so many different countries helps to demonstrate just how international we are. We've also had smaller symposia in addition to our main flagship international conference, but I haven't been as involved in those, so since I'm not Roger Nunn, I'll unfortunately not say any more about those. I'll move on to the second main branch of our activity, which is our journal, English Scholarship Beyond Borders, which is Scopus indexed. What's important to remember here is that most of our members know one another through the editorial work we've done on various international journals. And so naturally, as we started to come together, one of the things we began to think about was creating a journal as part of this organization in order to represent the scholarship that we were doing, which was largely spearheaded by Roger Nunn, who is very interested in open peer review. And so the Scopus Index Journal is open peer review, which means that the authors know who the reviewers are know who the authors are, and manuscripts are revised in dialogue rather than receiving anonymous comments from reviewers that then you have to anonymously try to accommodate through subsequent rounds of review. To date, we've published 9 issues over the past 7 years, and we're looking forward to publishing more issues well into the future. I think that Dr. Roger Nunn, who will be joining us tomorrow from online, will say more about publishing opportunities in English Scholarship Beyond Borders following the conference, for those of you who are interested. So what about our members, the English Scholarship Beyond Borders members? I think most of all, we're educators and scholars. We represent many countries, but we aren't based in any one country, and we also represent many fields of interest. Literature, poetry, ESP, or English for specific purposes, publishing research, language teaching, linguistic justice issues, including refugee language learning, and beyond. What attracted me to ESBB was its truly international character, and what's kept me involved is the friendships and professional bonds that I've formed through my involvement in the organization. As Roger often says in these opening ceremonies, we don't all agree, and many of us vehemently disagree at times, but we all respect one another as international scholars of English and look forward to sharing our conversations and experiences with you and to forging new connections through this conference this year. Finally, I'd like to finish with a challenge that Roger likes to present at the beginning of every conference. He asks everyone to try to incorporate something from one other talk into your own presentation. So just don't come just to share, just to say what you prepared to say. But as you watch the other presentations today, think about what you're hearing or what those people say that may intersect with your own presentation, and try to incorporate something from somebody else's presentation into your own, even if it's a small thing. I think I'll finish by saying that I really appreciate all the relationships that we've forged over the years, and I'm looking forward to continuing the relationships, reinvigorating the relationships that already exist, and to building new relationships with the new faces that are here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, the success of the conference is impossible without the contribution of our sponsor. And now is the ceremony of giving flowers to our sponsors. We would like to invite to the stage the representatives from our sponsors. First, the U.S. Embassy.
British Council.
Reset English Center.
Cultural Development and Import-Export Joint Stock Company, CDMX.
The Oxford University Press.
Macmillan Education.
National Geographic Learning.
United Kingdom English Center.
Jane Books.
Cambridge University Press. Now we would like to invite Dr. Võ Hoàng Duy, Vice President of Duc Thang University, to be on the stage to give flowers to our sponsors. Thank you very much.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, in order to keep the memories of the conference, we would like now to the stage all the delegates for the group photos. Please.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the opening ceremony. Please be noted that the keynote speech will begin shortly here in this room. Thank you very much. And now it's time for the keynote speech. We would like to invite Dr. John Baker to chair the first keynote speech. Dr. John Baker, please.
Good morning again. Today again, as I said, it brings me a great amount of joy. And one of the greatest joys I get today is to mention my friend's name, Dr. Roger Nunn, who is a scheduled keynote. As we mentioned, our leader and beloved leader could not be here today due to a family emergency. And graciously, one of our founding members, Dr. Siva, has graciously agreed to come and give the keynote on Dr. Rogers' behalf. Having said that, I'd like to invite him to the stage.
So this is the forward one. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Good morning. Am I audible? Can you hear me? I'm sorry to be asking this question. I think this is my matter of habit. Am I visible? Thank you. Before I get underway with my presentation, I just wish to share some deep-felt observations. I wasn't supposed to be doing this keynote because I'm already slotted in as a plenary speaker for the following session. But because of an unforeseen situation that cropped up, I was pressured into coming up here and delivering the keynote by John, who is one of my very close friends, who I've known for a pretty long time. And he actually did this in consultation with my other colleagues and associates of ESBB. So after having almost a 26-hour journey from Cape Town, South Africa to Ho Chi Minh, it did actually put me on a lot of stress, but I'm happy to do it because it's love's labor, and I should make sure that it isn't lost. Having said that, I'm in one sense honored to be actually filling in for Roger, who goes back a very long way with me. I've known Roger for more than 27 years. And therefore, in that sense, I feel particularly honored. At the same time, I also feel deeply humbled that I have been put in a situation to fill in for him because he's actually going through a family emergency which has come in the way of his being here. Therefore, I hope Roger's abiding spirit, his kindred spirit, will guide me into saying the things and spelling out the things that he would have very much loved to have shared with you this morning. So please bear with me. It's a presentation where I will actually be frog leaping some of the slides for want of time, because time is of the essence. And in international conference forums, people sometimes try to lose track of time. So I am going to be very watchful of that. So I will frog leap some of the slides, and I hope you would understand. A copy of the slides is available for you. You can actually go back and refer to it. Right, having said that, let me start. The title of the keynote is something that resonates with Roger's pet theme: de-hegemonizing and democratizing English, coming to terms with global commons with border crossing. All of us have crossed borders: geographical borders, cultural borders, linguistic borders, spiritual borders, borders of all sorts, if you may wish. So it's a border crossing event where we try to make sense of ourselves, the world in which we live, the kind of dealings, the kind of feelings, the kind of healings that we go through on a daily basis. Therefore, that is the title. And this, in that regard, should serve as a forum for reinforcing and reiterating constant imperative by stressing the global commons. For the new initiates of ESBB, I think I must actually spend a blink of a minute to say what this global commons means. It is not just a convenient term of reference, nor is it a buzzword, nor is it a catchword. Now, global commons, by this we mean, in ESBB, the common core of humanity, its values, its emotions, its fears, its apprehensions, its acknowledgements, its approvals, its disapprovals, its acceptances, its accommodations, its refutations, its disagreements, as Theron pointed out in his opening speech, in his curtain raiser speech. So this is what we mean by global commons: crying, laughing, hugging, greeting, fighting. It's part and parcel of our humanity. So global commons, irrespective of the language we speak, the culture we belong to, the spiritual path that we follow, we are all, at the end of the day, human beings. Under the skin, we are kin, as Carla Safina says. Well, I'll come to that in a moment in course of my speech. So this presentation is about articulating the inevitability of the prevalence and practice of global commons, and that's what Roger would always talk to us. Now, this demands that we cross borders. Now, border crossing is not something that you need to attempt by taking a long-haul flight from Ho Chi Minh to New York, or for that matter, taking a long-distance train from Vietnam, crossing over into Laos or into the other part of Southeast Asia. We do border crossing every day, every moment. What does it mean? We try to puzzle through, figure out things that are not clear to us at the first shot. We develop a certain kind of tolerance for ambivalence, not resistance. What is not clear to me will become clear to me as I stay with it, as I live with it, as I work around it. So this is what we mean by border crossing. We are constantly border crossing, finding out new ways to come to terms with those things that are not so clear to us. Understanding is not instant coffee. It is not instant noodle, mamma mia. It is something that happens over time. And if you understand something quickly, as technology would have you believe, that is not understanding, that is misunderstanding. I'm not a fan of technology, having been born in the baby boomer generation. Therefore, I must caution all of you that understanding is a longitudinal process. It is a glacial process. It's not an avalanchic process. And that's the reason why it is understanding. We go round and round and round and round to puzzle through what is at the center. We are all mammals, and under the skin we are kin. This is the chiming note of global commons. We are bathed in the same chemicals that create mood and motivation in us. Then this is the problem-posing question Roger would ask very often, and had he been here, he would have posed the same question. Are we not then in constant interaction with each other? The inevitable interrelatedness of our humanity compels us to talk about our social well-being. And during the COVID pandemic, we all realized how important and how invaluable it is to have human contact, which we took for granted. My next door neighbor, I know he goes out in the morning, comes back in the evening. He does a lot of, barbecue, lunching and dining during the weekends, but I don't know what he does. But during the COVID time, you really wanted to find out if he's alive, if he's ticking, if he's all right, and what is it that you could do to reach out to him. So the inevitable interrelatedness, like the fingers of a hand, you cannot wish it away, even if you want to. And this is fundamental. This is quintessential to the functional principles of ESBB. So the inevitable interrelatedness, as Terence said just a while ago, we disagree to agree, and we agree to disagree. And that's why we call ourselves English Scholars Beyond Borders. It sounds very nice, just not a mere acronym. It's more than an acronym. The fluidity, provisionality, and recursivity of knowledge. I had the good fortune to work with J. Krishnamurti, who is one of the renowned educational philosophers of our time. And I actually began my teaching career 40 years ago under his initiation. He would always tell us, the past meets the present, modifies itself, and moves on to the future. And what happens in the future slips back into the past, completing a cycle of time. Things go round and round. Blood circulates in your body, and that is the reason why you're alive and pulsating, sitting in the chair and looking at me. And that's the same reason that I'm standing here and talking to you. So nothing comes one round and stops. It goes round and round and round. That's a dynamism we are born with. That's a dynamism we live with. Therefore, this particular conference, which is now happening in your beautiful venue, is an occasion for reinforcement. It is a context, and it is setting for reiteration. Now, this is very reminiscent of what Alfred Lord Tennyson says in his poem Ulysses, which is something that has actually gone deep into my soul and spirit. I always take a lot of strength from these lines. I'm a part of all that I have met, yet all experience is an arch through gleams that untraveled world, whose margin fades forever and forever when I move. So, my dearly beloved listeners, we don't live in a world of certainty. But we live in a world of uncertainty. Therefore, what we know can very soon become what we don't know. I keep telling my doctoral students in Cape Town, the data that you have gathered has an expiry date, just as medicines. You cannot keep an antibiotic for more than 2 years, and if you want to use it after 2 years, it will have no effect. Therefore, we should not be obsessed with the data saying, oh, I have data which tells this. I have data that tells that. Absolutely not. Knowledge needs to be in constant spiral. It needs to be in constant circulation. Well, those of you who do not know, there is one place in our body where there is no blood. That is the knee joint, the kneecap. I learnt it when I had a knee injury recently, and the doctor said, Siva, do you know that there is no blood circulation in your knee? I said, wow, this is great news to me. He said, what is there? You have synovial fluid, which acts as a substitute for blood, and the more you activate your knee, the faster will your knee heal. Now, this is the knowledge which I'm picking up as a 70-year-old man. And all these days, I was arrogantly, blissfully unaware of this. So, my dear beloved audience, please understand, we are a part of all that we have met, which means there is more that lies ahead which we are going to meet, and we need to internalize that. We need to personalize that. Now, this is fundamental not only to ESBB, to all the things that we do via the spectrum of teaching, learning, living, loving, laughing. Coming to terms with the global commons demands that we see the unseen and hear the unheard. I don't mean to be poetic, because many of us today get obsessed with research, and we look at research like a blinkered horse. What I don't see does not exist. I'm sorry. What we don't see does exist, perhaps more vibrantly, more robustly than what we see and what we hear. And, researchers have a tendency to go objectifying things that they see. Oh, this doesn't exist, therefore I will not do it. That is wrong. That is fundamentally wrong. All these days, I didn't know that there is something called synovial fluid in my knee till the time I injured my knee, my right knee, and to be told by the orthopedic surgeon, Siva, you've got that problem. So, folks, our recognition of global commons should be seen then as an antithesis to traditional SLA theorists' container and quantifiable view of language as a cognitive deposit or cognitive deficit. This is a murderous set of beliefs which has done more harm to language teaching, especially English language teaching. And that is the reason why this old guy put that in the title. De-hegemonizing, that means, dismantling the monopoly, and democratizing and decolonizing English. 2 centuries of grammar teaching, simple present tense and subject-verb agreement has not taught people how to think in a language. People pass exams by writing correct answers, but that doesn't actually guarantee that they would be responsible, well-informed choice-making citizens of a country. So how do they participate in the polity of the country? They abide by whatever decisions is thrust on them. We become curriculum clerks, and we teach to the exams. Is that what we really need? We don't need that. ESBB condemns it. And therefore, this is an antithesis to that. It is not a cognitive deficit, nor is it a cognitive deposit. Language teaching, language learning is a process of socialization. It's a process of semiotic mediation. We transfer signs. Keep quiet. This is a sign. It carries a meaning. Oh, no, I'm talking. I can't keep quiet. That is another sign. So human beings are the only creatures on the face of earth who can create signs, who can receive signs, who can respond, react, and reformulate signs. So language is an act of semiotic mediation. It is an act of socialization, not merely a simplistic enculturation. Yes. So that is the way to go. So we see ESBB needing to objectify things which are not objectifiable. In that case, intersubjectivity becomes very important. So we are opposed to apathy and antipathy, but we are in embrace of empathy and sympathy. So we empathize with differences. We are very sympathetic to those things which actually don't chime with what we stand for. Research in the bygone era talked about certainty, talked about things that are absolutes, but they are no longer valid now for the simple reason the way our lives have been complexified. In an age of electronic media, visual culture, and electronic gadgetry, clarity and cohesion are no longer possible. We can only attempt clarity and cohesion in relativistic terms, and therefore we need to re-inquire them. So we need then a pluricentric view of community rather than a narrow, reductive view of it. And this is actually something that leads us to context-bound characteristics. I'm just going to give you a very interesting digression, which is something based on my personal experience. My friend, my Canadian friend Chris Weigel would actually validate it if he thinks it is right. My wife and I were visiting a Native American Indian reserve 160 kilometers away from Banff, right in the middle of Rockies in Canada. And when we went, the native Indian there, he was so pleased. He said, "Oh, I'm seeing a real Indian." I said, "Yes, I'm a real Indian because I come from India, but you're too a native Indian. You're a nativized Indian." So in course of the dialogue, he said, "Saiva," he called me Saiva, not Siva. He said, "Saiva, you've come to this part of Canada at a really awkward time. We've been having 3-dog nights in the past week. For 2 moments, I just stood frozen there. What the devil on earth does he mean by 3-dog nights? With all my experience, with all my qualifications, and with all my exposure, I stood there like an ignorant village idiot. And it took a while for me to puzzle through what he meant by 3-dog night. So after a 2-hour stay there in the reserve, as we were just departing, my wife and I just gently, prodded him and said, "Man, did you really mean the 3-dog night was actually a situation where you allow 3 willies, 3 huskies to sleep on you because the electric blanket and the electric heater may not give you sufficient heat?" Of course, that's what I meant. We've been having 3-dog nights. Now, which dictionary, which formula, which traditional theory in English language teaching can explain it? I challenge the so-called traditionalists, the so-called conventionalists. This is very, very precious to ESBB. Context-bound characteristics of knowledge construction. What is valid here may not be valid across the fence, and vice versa. So, that is something which I want you to take home with you. I'll stress more about it in my plenary later. So, for this very reason, the conceptualization of language teaching by the rationalists is no longer tenable. So, what is language then, according to Global Commons? It is an expansive system. It is a fluid construct. It is an expression of human activity in all its variety and illogic. If somebody comes and says, "Siva, I went shopping in Ho Chi Minh with a dinosaur," there's nothing wrong in that. Or you made a pig of yourself at the dining table, there's nothing wrong in that. The illogic of that utterance is as logical as logic would have it. Therefore, folks, that is fundamental, central to ESBB's commitment to Global Commons. Given that research data in education comes from you, comes from me, comes from all of us here, not from lifeless, inanimate objects like this wood, we need to understand test scores, variables, standardized measurements, benchmarks, accredited publications. They don't mean anything at the end of the day. I'm talking to you after going through the mill for 40 years. So we cannot treat them as experimental objects. So, any attempt to break free from prescriptive practices should be seen as indications of agency, voice, and subjecthood. And this is what Paulo Freire talks about in his problem-posing methodology and philosophy of education. So, ESBB talks about fostering students' voice, agency, and intersubjectivity, which has a bi-directional effect on the teachers who promote it. So our students develop voice. I write with my graduate students as a second author. And that's the way I tell them that your voice gives me voice back to me. So articulating the social nature of human beings, to function as an instrument to create meanings anew and afresh. That is what we should be doing when we meet and greet and talk in situations like this. This is something which I talked about earlier, so I will frog leap this. We need to talk about spontaneity, flexibility, diversity. These can only accrue through personally oriented, locally relevant practices and pedagogies. Language is representational, it is semiotic, and it is dialogical, as Mikhail Bakhtin would have it. To know a language is then to know how to live in it, like a bird, as you see in the picture. So in this sense, a computational container view of language is not language at all. I'm really scared that the current generation is all a group of skim readers. They want everything quick, like instant coffee. They don't have the patience to go through long documents. There is cognitive impatience leading to cognitive dissonance, whereas my generation, we read holding the book in hand, and we wrote on the page holding the pen. That's not happening anymore. Writing and reading have become industrialized, and I oppose it. I abominate it. It is repugnant to me. This is a very important point, 2 minutes. Disambiguation of meaning is possible only through narrative knowing. And narrative knowing is what Global Commons is all about. We understand as we move along. I am a part of all that I have met where the untraveled world gleams through. I'm now going to take the opportunity to explain these two scriptural lines. They are in Sanskrit, but they are transliterated in English. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. It is a Vedic mantra chant. And what you see below that, Data Dayatvam Damyata Shanti Shanti Shantihi, are the closing lines of T.S. Eliot's Wasteland. So please allow me to chant them in the way it is chanted in Sanskrit. So I'll just try to evoke my musicality. So please bear with me. And I think that would bring a fitting finish to this presentation. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Data dayatvam damneta. Data dayatvam damyata. Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi. The meaning of this is, let humanity be happy, let humanity be united, let humanity be kind, compassionate, and closely united. Under this kin, we are all kin. I wish you all the best in the run-up to Christmas, and a very, very happy New Year. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Dr. Siva for warm words and the beauty that he always shares with all of us. He is a dear friend and a fantastic scholar. In a moment, I'm going to introduce Gerald Frank from the American Embassy, Regional Language Officer. But before I do, some housekeeping. You have the schedule in the book, in the program book. Online, there is an updated schedule, and it'll change. Not much, maybe about 1% in case someone cancels or something like that. So you can check online, and if there's a cancellation or something, you can see it there. Also, Dr. Roger Nunn has asked me to share a favor. In the sense of ESPB, if it's possible, when giving your presentations, you might consider giving them in the first person, because here at ESPB, we certainly do recognize and respect the first person voice. All right, would you please join me in welcoming Mr. Gerald Frank.
Good morning. I'd like to thank Dr. Siva for your remarks, very inspiring, and your musicality is wonderful. And I did learn that, as you, we don't have any blood in our knee, so that's something that, our kneecap, that's something I'll remember forever. So as you heard, my name is Gerald Frank. I'm the Regional English Language Officer at the U.S. Embassy in Hanoi, and my job is to promote English language learning and teaching on behalf of the U.S. State Department all across Vietnam, in addition to Laos and Cambodia. There are 32 people like me around the world working for the State Department, so we have an international conference here today, so you're likely to find a regional English language officer in any country that you work in. So I'd like to offer my congratulations to the English Scholars Beyond Borders and the Faculty of Foreign Languages at Duc University on convening this hybrid International TESOL Conference 2022, Envisioning Possibilities. Congratulations. And to Dean Fong and your leadership, thank you very much for all that you've done to make this conference happen. A special thank you to the organizing committee, the abstract reviewers, and all the volunteers. All the volunteers are in the pink? Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys for all the work that you did to bring us here today. And it's so good to be together. Great to be together, attend conferences like these in person after a long break due to the pandemic. It was hard, and it's good to be back together. I do not think anybody will deny that the pandemic forced us to think about the way we practice our profession. Almost overnight, we had to transition from in-person classroom teaching to managing our classes online. Some of us handled this transition better than others. And I might argue that the educators here today and those joining us online are among the ones that found a way to make it work. Educators who, despite busy schedules, high demands on their time, families, always find a way to make it work. By attending events like these, you enhance your professional development and often your leaders in your community. So I'd like to acknowledge all of you who are here today, who are here to network, to share, to learn. I'd like to thank you for all that you do in our community, in our teaching profession. Thank you, teachers. I don't think we can thank leaders like English Scholars Beyond Borders and the Faculty of Foreign Language enough for giving us the opportunity to come together today as we move into the post-COVID era. Our Regional English Language Office at the U.S. Embassy in Vietnam shares the same goal. Last week I was doing some training in Bangkok, and somebody asked me for my spiel. What do we do in my office? Simply put, I said our programs build capacity, create opportunities, and connect the people we work with the global community. The same thing that we're doing here today. The same thing that teachers do in their classrooms every day. So what do we do? How do our U.S. Embassy programs achieve this? I hope you'll let me talk a little bit about our programs as we have similar goals to what you're doing here. So we have many resources that we can share with teachers, with learners, with educators, with administrators, with people who are working in the government. We bring American educators here on exchange programs, not just in Vietnam, but my 32 colleagues working around the world do the same thing. Currently, we have 18 American English Language Fellows at universities around Vietnam, and we have 3 of them here today. I see Patsy and Carla, and I think, is Frederick here? Frederick's here. Yes, so English Language Fellows. As I mentioned, we have 18 of them here in Vietnam, 26 in the region, Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia, hundreds of them around the world. And who are English Language Fellows? They're professional educators, a minimum of 5 years teaching experience, a minimum of an MA and TESOL, or many of them have PhDs. And we place them at faculties at universities around the world. They're there for 10-month contracts with an option to renew. And in addition to teaching in their local universities, they do outreach in their communities, they hold workshops for their colleagues, and they can travel. They can travel around the country. They have their own budget. So if any of you are looking for an English language fellow to present at your workshop or do capacity building in your local communities, let us know and we can send them out there. If you're a university teacher or an administrator and you like a fellow on your faculty, let us know and we can try to place one at your institution. We also bring English language specialists over for short and long-term projects to shape curriculum, develop materials, define policy. We work closely with universities, local and regional, national ministries to shape the way that English is taught and learned in the countries that we work. Just this summer, I think we had 10 specialists visit Vietnam. Topics included how to incorporate IT technology in the classroom, understanding research and academic writing. We have a specialist coming here next month who's been working closely with us on a project with the National Foreign Language Project with the Ministry of Education and Training. She developed a series of handbooks on community of practice. How do you develop your own community of practice in your own teaching and learning community? And she'll be here in Ho Chi Minh City in January, so hopefully some of you will be able to attend some of her workshops. Other topics this summer included translanguaging, project-based learning. Legal English is a topic that we are focusing on here in Vietnam and across ASEAN. American Studies, and one of the fun programs that we had was a program for novice and pre-service teachers. We also have a lot of virtual programs to support your continued professional development. We have a number of massive open online courses, MOOCs, online courses, webinars. And another cool resource that we have is a virtual English educators program. Virtual English educators are like English language fellows, but they're working remotely. They can join classes with your students and conduct a conversation class. They can teach 4 skills. They can do professional development for your faculty. They can be short-term, long-term. One of the favorite programs I did here in Vietnam with our virtual educators was we identified talented local Vietnamese teachers in conjunction with American virtual educator living somewhere in the world. We developed 16-week courses for provincial officials, English for governmental officials, on how they can do their daily jobs, their daily tasks, and connect with their interlocutors across ASEAN countries in the English language. So that's a cool program. We have a lot going on, and we have many resources that can support teachers and learners. So for learners, we have a fantastic program called Access. It's an after-school program for underprivileged young people. It's 2 years. People learn they learn English, of course. They learn IT skills. They learn critical thinking skills. They learn about community service, and that makes a tremendous impact on the lives of these students. Another fun one, I'm sorry I'm talking so much. Another fun one we have is called English Works. We're just starting that this month at 18 locations across Vietnam. English Works is a vocational English program for or underemployed young people. They learn job skills, they learn IT skills, they learn how to develop their own startups. They go on field trips, we have job fairs. That's a very cool program, one that I've done in Pakistan and one I did in Russia as well, that really provided opportunity for people for upward mobility. So as I said, we have a lot of programs, and we need partners. So if you're looking for opportunities to collaborate with our office, we often post our information on our Facebook page, and the Embassy Facebook page, and our Facebook page here in Ho Chi Minh City. So we need partners to implement our English Works programs, our Access programs. We need hosts for our fellows. We need ideas for specialist programs. And our ideas don't come from our office. They come from you. They're needs-based. So we don't just sit around and dream up programs. We wait for you to tell us what the needs are on the ground. And we have some of the same goals and mission as the English Scholars Beyond Borders. We want to build the capacity of teachers. We want to help people connect across borders. And we want to give people opportunity through English language. So thank you so much for letting me talk about our programs. So thank you so much for hosting this great event. I wish you all a great conference. I hope you have many interesting conversations. I hope you network. But importantly, I hope that you keep the conversations going long after this conference is going. Network with each other, connect with each other, share with each other, and just enjoy being together again after a long break. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, on the behalf of the organizing committee, we would like to express our heartfelt thanks and sincere gratitude to all delegates for attending the opening ceremony and the first keynote address this morning. And here is the map of our conference at the TDTU for your reference.
Now we would like to invite all of you to join the tea break and networking session at the main lobby in Building A, ground floor. Please note that the first sessions will start at 10:20, and lunch will be served at the main lobby in Building B at 11:40 for those who reserve lunch buffet.
We would like to remind all presenters to be at the conference room at least 10 minutes prior to your presentation to prepare for the slide and equipment. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much and please enjoy the rest of the ITC 2022 at Duc Thang University. Thank you.